throw in there. Yeah, that's interesting. It's a very difficult concept to try to explain to someone just in general what cloud is.
Right.
And a lot of times it's like, well, it's going to replace people. Like, no, it's not. It's like your your toys are now in the sandbox, and you still have to pay people to kind of reach in and take the stuff they need from that sandbox, and then they're going to go build something, or it's a communal toy chest in a way, and that's what the modern day developer engineer needs, right? So then it sounds like Zayden's going to be the type that's going to give them this package or that package, and they basically and all the profiles and security features,
Mm-hmm.
and they're ready to go,
Ready
and
to
they
go.
have a development environment that's and then if you even throw in security protocols on top of that, that operates in a secure manner for that particular customer, right?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of cool innovations that have come that had to happen because of cloud, and it's just different,
Yeah.
right? The way things are done.
Yeah. And so, as you can imagine, in that environment, it's highly technical. There's a
Yeah.
billion different choices and options. And the traditional way that companies had done that was to hire a team of engineers, 10 engineers to work for 9 months to
Right.
build this environment. But having gone through a couple contracts where they
Mm-hmm.
built out these environments, they were able to really understand where some of the SAMs are and where some of the choices were, and easily be able to provision that quickly. And that could save almost up to a year
Mm-hmm.
on a contract.
Well, the other thing that's important is that if you're renting cloud space, that you have to have the engineers who are smart enough to know, hey, make sure you turn off the meter, the
Right.
billing meter,
Right.
when we're not using our stuff. Otherwise, it'll just keep running.
Right.
And there's a lot that goes into that. Or let's say you're paying for data storage. Well, as soon as you can, move it to on-prem where you're not paying, but sometimes there's a transfer fee too. But you have to just work that, right? And
Yeah.
that's where it's invaluable to have people who understand that and know how to provision things, or even like don't provision a server that you don't need that much compute, right? Or
Right.
that much RAM, because you're paying, just pay for what is optimized for what's needed.
Right.
And it's a whole different animal. So then what drew you to, how did you get recruited to come to join Gener8tor in Huntsville and lead, I guess basically really become the first kind of executive director for it, or really take it to where the goal, I think it was, right, for this area?
Yeah. So, managing director is my title.
Okay.
And I had kind of put out to the universe that it was time for me to kind of find a smart engineer, a couple engineers that have built some cool technology that I could help them put a company behind. So I've spent probably the last 20 years helping companies grow. So putting infrastructure in place to help them grow.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, it'd be fun to, find a couple engineers that have built something cool. And so it's kind of what I put out to the universe. I was somewhat between gigs, and interesting enough, through a friend of a friend, I learned about Gener8tor, and Gener8tor was hiring in Huntsville, and I applied for the position. And
So you were just kind of trying to get into the game.
yeah, I wasn't thinking venture capital. I really was just thinking, I was trying to keep it as open as possible, because I find when you think about the things that you want to do, you think about the tasks that drive you and the things that give you energy and like make you want to just jump in. And so I was trying to keep it as open as that, but I knew that I wanted to work with early company, and I wanted to help them kind of get systems and processes in place and get early sales. And came across Gener8tor. We interviewed, hit it off right away. I started in July, and our investment accelerator started in September. So
Okay.
I had a really fast onboarding process. But it's been so much fun and such a wild ride.
And what kind of were you who they were looking for, and how competitive was the managing director position that you ultimately got?
That's a really good question. I never asked how many people had
Yeah.
applied. I think I didn't probably want to know.
Right.
I do know now, having been with Gener8tor a while, I know we get hundreds of applications
Yeah.
for those positions. We have several managing directors across the United States. I think you saw on the website we're in 41 communities. It's a mixed bag on kind of backgrounds and experiences. We have PhDs, we have people that were in journalism, media, we have people that were in VC, we have people that started their own startups. In fact, our entrepreneur in residence was a Gener8tor graduate from 2014.
Okay.
And he grew his company and sold it and decided he wanted to give back. So he had a very successful exit, and on his bucket list was to go to work for Gener8tor so he could give back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So how well known is, obviously you found out about it or were led to it. How well has Gener8tor done to market themselves so that, I've only been here a year and a half.
Yeah.
And I haven't really been paying attention because it's not necessarily, yes, I am an entrepreneur, right? I guess I shouldn't discredit myself with what I have going on here, but I also have a full-time job. And,
Yep.
and between the energies that I put into both, I just haven't been yet at the point. I've been kind of, and we can talk after the fact, but I've been talking about like, well, how did you take a podcast to like a different level? What is it that's not being done and what's not being serviced, right? That potentially, I could create a different market. But having said that, I just wasn't aware.
Yeah.
I am becoming more aware as I interview people, and there was the Singing River Trail launch tank. They're trying to, that's an economic development thing. I'm aware of Mark II Ventures, I believe, who are in town. I heard Chad Emerson, who used to be the CEO of Downtown Huntsville, had a podcast, and he interviewed, I can't remember the guy's name, from Mark II. And then I come across, of course, I'm going to interview you, and I start doing the research. I have an MBA, and yeah, I know a little bit about it, but I've never been really through the process.
Right.
But I guess my question is, how do you feel about how do people aware of Gener8tor?
Yeah.
And
No.
if not, is it just why not?
Yeah. So,
Tough question, right?
well, I got to fall on my sword here. So, part of my role is really developing community. And I'm just now coming upon a year.
Yeah.
I've already run 2 programs. So, I'm hoping that within the next couple months, we will really be able to start digging in for community awareness.
Yeah.
And really, it's grassroots, right? It's meeting people face to face. It's reaching out in email to say hi and let's grab coffee. And I've done a lot of work with the Catalyst and Launch 30 or 2035.
Yeah, cool.
And,
Committee
the
of 100.
E-Center. Yeah.
E-Center.
Andrew Dollar at the E-Center. So we're making all of these connections.
Good.
And now, I have a meeting tomorrow, actually, with John Joseph from the E-Center in Decatur.
Yeah. He's been on the program.
Yes, I did see that. And I really want to dig into, how through Launch 2035 can we bring together kind of all of these resources. There are so many resources available in Huntsville, and how can we bring them together and create more awareness in the community for all of these resources, not just Gener8tor.
Yeah.
The chambers are amazing, and the EDC is amazing, and you've got the Catalyst, and there's just so many resources available to people that are developing companies or growing companies.
Yeah. That's going to be a great conversation. John is